Hi, this is Laura from LiveVisions.com, and this video is all about Aquarius. So whether you have your Sun, your Moon, your Mercury, your Venus, or your Mars in Aquarius, this video is for you. Now, if you don't know your planetary placements, I do have a birth chart calculator on my website, but it goes haywire sometimes, so I need a new one. But I would say go to astro.com to find your birth chart planetary placements, and that website will tell you what planets you have and in what signs, so you know what video to watch. Okay. For those who have their Sun and Ascendant in Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius in general, this is a fixed sign, so they can be a bit stubborn. This is also an air sign, so this is more of an intellectual sign. Usually these people are quite brilliant, quite smart, ingenious, matter of fact, you know. Aquarius is ruled by the planet Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of the unexpected, things that are not planned, you know. And, you know, think of Uranus as like a bolt of lightning, like lightning strikes. You don't see it coming. Things just happen out of the blue, you know. So these people tend to be friendly, humanitarian-like people. They say that Aquarius is one sign in the zodiac that gets along with pretty much all the other signs. They can be very humanitarian-like. So, you know, these are the type of people who fight for injustice, not for themselves, but if they see that something is wrong to somebody else, they'll stand up for that other person because it's the right thing to do. These people are known for doing humanitarian type of work and efforts in life. They're known to be honest, loyal. They like to be original, and they love to be inventive. They don't want to do anything that anybody else is doing. They want to do their own thing. So whatever house that you have ruling Aquarius is the house in which you want to do your own thing in life and that you don't care what anybody else is doing. And you could even be very inventive. You want to be very original, okay? These people are the type of people to where some of them could be wearing zany clothes or things that, you know, think of Cyndi Lauper, right? You know, the zany way of dressing. And they don't care what other people think of them. They do their own thing, and they're like to each their own, and they respect other people's originality. That's huge with these people. The dark side is they could be very unpredictable. So if you're dating somebody who is Aquarius, or you're with someone and or their Mars is Aquarius, very much so. Venus in Aquarius, this could be too. There could be unpredictability. Like, in other words, this is the type of person where they'll get into a relationship quickly and then it'll end suddenly. You know, like you don't see it coming. It's like there's stops and starts with relationships. They could be rather detached too emotionally. So with them, the minute they see a red flag, they turn off their emotions like a switch. They can be rather detached, and sometimes people with Aquarian energy, if they see a red flag, they don't even, in a relationship, they may not even give you a heads up that, hey, this isn't working for me because of this, this, and this, or if this, and this doesn't improve, I'm going to have to leave the relationship. They don't do that. The first sign of something, they're just gone. There's no Dear John letter, no nothing. They don't give a heads up, and they can be very detached that way, like in other words, they're very good at detaching their feelings. So it's like if they see a red flag, they may say, oh, I'm not going to invest in this anymore. And so they're okay with taking their feelings and closing them off, you know. So these type of people, another thing that they're the dark side, like I said, the dark side is unpredictability, detachment. They could be unemotional, okay. Not all Aquarians are going to be unemotional, but especially if you have your moon in Aquarius, you could be. But you could be very, turn off your emotions on and off like a switch. You could be very good at that, like cutting people off out of your life. You know, it could be easier for you. Now, sometimes Aquarian sign is known to be a bit perverse. And I would say this is more for, and perverse meaning into weird things, okay, odd, eccentric things. I would say this is more for people who have their Aquarius in their 8th house, ruling their 8th house, or you have Uranus in the 8th house, a strong Uranus presence in the 8th house. And what would that denote? 8th house is the house of sexuality. So if you're worried that the person you're with is a pervert or into weird things or unconventional, strange things, this could be somebody whose 8th house is Aquarius. It could also be that it doesn't mean that they're a pervert, so you have to watch for this. It could just mean that they get into things quickly and end things quickly, romantically, okay? But it could be that they're into things that are unconventional. things that maybe nobody else is really into. So you may want to watch this, especially if Uranus is in the 8th house as well, because Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, okay? All right. So let's go to if your moon is in Aquarius. So if your moon is in Aquarius, this is the type of mother you had, okay? So perhaps your mother could have been brilliant, extremely intelligent, but for some reason there's like an emotional detachment. Maybe your mom wasn't always there for you all the time. It could be that she was there and then she wasn't, and there was maybe ups and downs with the mom, or either that your mother was kind of emotionally detached from you, or she seemed unpredictable or unemotional sometimes. But your mom could have been friendly, a humanitarian type of person, very loyal, very honest type of person. But for some reason growing up, she could be a little bit unpredictable and detached with you. Like maybe the feelings are off and on with mom. Or mom could have just been unpredictable type of person. You know, that could be too. Now, if your moon is in Aquarius yourself, okay, obviously it represents your mom, but it also rules how you handle your emotions, okay? Now, moon in Aquarius can be a little difficult, and depending on the house it's in, you know, it could be better or worse. So, moon in Aquarius can really mean that some people's predictions could be unpredictable. Some people's emotions could be unpredictable. So you may feel like someone's either hot and cold sometimes. This person, you know, this could be, depending on if there's other, you know, aspects in this, it could be somebody who's rather detached emotionally. When they're upset, they just cut people off. Or this could be somebody whose emotions are, you know, you just can't predict them. Like you don't know what's going to happen with them, you know. And this can, some people, not all, I'm going to just preface that, some and not all, could be bipolar with Aquarius moon, because Aquarius rules Uranus, and it's like a bolt of lightning. You don't know what to expect. So these people emotionally could be like, you don't know what to expect with them. But emotionally, when they're upset, they can be rather detached. They can be unpredictable with their emotions, sometimes on the negative side. Emotionally, they can be, you know, wanting to help people. They care about fairness in the world. These type of people, they're friendly. They could be, you know, when they're very sensitive and they're emotional, they may want to do something that's very original or very different, according to just them. You know, they may. These people may like eccentricity. You know, they may like to be different. They may like to do things, you know, not like everybody else. But emotionally, they can be very unpredictable emotionally, you know, like you just don't know what to expect. There could be highs and lows with this emotionally. There can be a lot of detachment emotionally. Like they can just, sometimes people with this aspect can be, you know, great people, but sometimes they can just cut you off emotionally and be like, you know what, I'm not even going to invest my feelings in this person. And it could be easy for them to detach emotionally, where other signs are very, let's say there's a breakup. Others, let's say somebody with a Cancer moon would be very, very heartbroken over this breakup, and you know, maybe it would take a long time to get over this. But Aquarius moon, no problem. You know, it's done. It's done. I mean, it doesn't mean they're not hurting, but it's easier for them to detach than it would be for somebody with a Cancer moon. Okay. I hope that gives you some information. Now, gentlemen, those of you, moon on a man's chart shows you the type of woman that you're attracted to. Okay. You could be attracted, or not that just you're going to be attracted to, but the kind of woman you're going to marry. So you could be wanting to marry somebody who's very different, who's very eccentric, who doesn't care what other people think or say about them, and who's maybe a humanitarian type of person who's honest and loyal, friendly. This person also could be very unpredictable. You know, this person could be a little bit detached and unconventional. You know. Sometimes they could be unemotional too, but for the whole thing about this person would be very unique. Like this person would be very eccentric, very unique. So really, if you're a guy and you have this, you're looking for a needle in the haystack, somebody who's very unique, very different. So somebody not like anybody else is what you're looking for, really. Okay. So if you have your Mercury in Aquarius, okay, now Aquarius is an air sign, and Mercury is how you think. So you really don't think with emotion, you think with logic, all right? So you take emotion out of it. You're very good at thinking with logic instead of emotion. You don't let emotions cloud your judgment or your thinking, okay, or your decisions. Mercury in Aquarius can be very inventive and original. These people can come up with brilliant ideas. You know, these are the people that would be like, this is a great type of person to work for Apple and think of great innovative ideas to bring to the next, I don't know, iPhone or iPad or something, you know. These people can be really genius type of mind. And these people could be really good with computers, anything electronic, okay? Because, and I will say sometimes you may have ideas that people are like, what? That's so weird. That's crazy. And it's because these people have forward-minded thinking, meaning they think in the future in advance. And some people just can't relate to that because they could be so advanced in their thinking, you know, but it could be very ingenious, okay? So if you're one of these people where you say something and everyone's like, what? I can't relate to that. It just could be you're very advanced in your thinking and, you know, maybe you're very inventive. So that's a good quality. Now, on a negative side, this could be people may not, people with Mercury and Aquarius can sometimes come up with off-the-wall like comments and remarks to things, and other people just can't. They're like, where did that come from? You know, so this could be one of that. You know, sometimes you may have a knack for saying weird things at the weirdest times, or like, oh, why? You could look back and go, why did I say that? I can't believe I said that. Or you say something out of the blue. The minute it hits your head, you're like, oh, you say it. So you're like, oh my God, everybody looked at me all weird. Why did I say that? So this could be that sign too. But for the most part, other than having that little awkwardness with things coming out that sounds a little strange to people sometimes, I want to say the word would be awkward. But you guys could be very original and inventive in your thinking and perhaps genius in your thinking. So these are the inventors of the zodiac. These people can be very, very much like thinking of ingenious ways and new ways of doing things. And it's okay if other people can't relate to you, but I would say run with your ideas. They could be brilliant for the future. So talking with this person, I would say if you're another air sign, you have your Mercury in air, you could maybe communicate quite well with this person, but sometimes some people may find talking with this person either, I want to say, could be detached in their communication too. Like they may say something to you, unpredictability would be the key to your speech. You know, you don't know what you're going to say and when, and you could become a little unemotional with the things that you say too, and maybe detached. Like in other words, you know, let's say you had a breakup and the partner said, well, do you not still love me? You could probably say to that person, yeah, I don't love you, with no emotion, no nothing. And it comes out of your mouth like butter, like smooth as smooth as can be. And yeah, no, I don't love you no more. I really don't. Sorry. With no emotion and very detached. And maybe logically or emotionally you still do, but you don't let emotion cloud your judgment, and you don't let emotion cloud your thinking, because you have, your thinking is ruled by air. So it's a very logical sign. So perhaps somebody who thinks with emotion, who has their Mercury in water sign, may not relate well with you. You may be like, they're always going off their emotions, So this could be a problem. So if you're dating somebody whose Mercury is also in an air sign, which would be Libra, Gemini, or Aquarius, this could be better for you because they would be also thinking off their logic instead of emotion. Just giving you an example, okay? Okay, now those of you who have your Mars in Aquarius, Mars is your type of energy you have, okay, whether you're male or female. And this would be, your energy could be very unique, very eccentric, very different, okay? And, you could go to the beat of your own drum. You may not care what other people think or say or do. You could be leaders and not followers, big time. This type could be rebellious. This type could be like, don't tell me what to do type of person. If you're dating someone and they're very jealous and possessive and they're telling you you shouldn't do this or you're going to dump that person. Trust me, you're not going to stick around with that person who's going to tell you what to do. Okay, so let's talk about, and just your energy alone, people may think, God, this person's so strange, or they're so weird, or whatever. They're so unique, or whatever it is. You are unique. Your energy is very unique. You show that you're different, okay? You show that you go to the beat of your own drum, and you don't care what other people think about it. Okay? Now, when it comes to Mars, for ladies, this is what you're looking for in a man. Okay? So, my Mars happens to be in this area of my chart as well. So, as a woman, your energy is very much unique, independent, very independent, and don't tell me what to do kind of person. Okay? So, and you're very much, you could be very ingenious too in the way that things that you do and the things that you create in life. It could be very inventive and very original, okay? And you go to the beat of your own drum, you don't care what anybody says, and you could wear weird clothes and dress funny or whatever, and you just do your own thing. That's Mars in Aquarius. So Mars, if you have your Mars in Aquarius like I do, then this is also the type of man that you're going to be attracted to. So you're attracted to a person who's very unique, who's very eccentric, also like you, goes to the beat of their own drum, doesn't care what anybody else thinks, says, or does, who's a leader and not a follower, somebody who is very much, I want to say, maybe even a rebel, you know, somebody who is a humanitarian who will fight for the rights of others if they feel there's other people have an injustice going on. These people can be also, I want to say, the gentleman could also be very unique in his or her own, I mean, whoever you're dating, could be very unique in their appearance, or something about them is different. So you definitely want to date someone, if you're a woman with this, who is a man they're very different in some way. They're very unique, very eccentric in some way. And they're much more of a leader than a follower, and very much a humanitarian. You could be attracted to unpredictable, very detached, and unemotional types. And this is because, you know, relationships are like mirrors, right? So we attract what we put out. So as women, if this is your energy, if you can be unpredictable, detached, and emotional sometimes, and unemotional at times, you could attract a partner who's just the same way. But I think you value this in that person because, remember I said, if somebody wants to be possessive or controlling of you or try to tell you what to do, you're going to dump that person, and you're not going to stick around and have somebody dictate to you, because this is very much, Mars in Aquarius is about freedom. It's about independence, you know. So if you're a woman with this, you definitely don't want a possessive guy, big time. So you really need your independence. And you want an independent guy too. I mean, maybe you don't really realize it, but you literally want someone who does their own thing, somebody who is independent in his own life, so he's not going to be so much telling you what to do about yours, you know. This person can be unemotional and detached sometimes as well, but you may be okay with that because you're also this way, you know. Very loyal with the sign. It's a fixed sign, so it could be rather stubborn, very honest, and friendly and humanitarian-like. This is one energy of a type of person who can get along with everybody. You know, if you have your Mars in Aquarius, you're the type of person you can probably get along with a lot of people. You know, you try to get along with everyone. You try to be relatable to everybody. And this is because you could be very, your energy could be very ingenious and indifferent, and you value different types of people because you are eccentric, whether you want to admit it or not. You are eccentric. And you know, people would say I was eccentric. I'm like, I'm not eccentric. I'm really not, you know. But with my Mars in Aquarius, for the most part, I think what I do for work is very eccentric, and maybe my thinking can be a little bit different sometimes. But I think I'm a more conservative type of person, but maybe other people disagree, you know. So it depends on where your Mars is in your chart. You know, that's going to give you more information. So mine is in the work sector. So I do something very different, very unique for work. But my energy as a person is very different and very unique too. So, but I do value independence. I do value my space. And that's another thing. If you're Mars in Aquarius, you need space. So if you have a partner who's really up your butt and doesn't allow you to work or wants to see you every single day, and you may like that at first, but you really need your space. You need someone who's not possessive or controlling of you. That lets you be your own person. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay? Now, if you're a man who has his Mars in Aquarius, men's Mars is how they flirt with a woman. So if your Mars is in Aquarius, this is a really tough placement for men because Mars is how you flirt, and Aquarius is kind of an awkward sign. It's very independent, it's very detached, and so if a man has this Mars in Aquarius, you could find flirting extremely awkward, like you hate it. Like these are the people who fumble with their words, or either you practice too much, okay, or you kind of do things off the cuff and it doesn't come out right, So these are some people who try to date someone and impress them in a very unique way, but sometimes they could feel very awkward. My advice to you is embrace your uniqueness and embrace your individuality and just be you. Don't try to be who everybody else is, because that's your whole Mars. The girl who's for you is also going to be different too, and she's going to really like your energy as a man. So, okay. So for you guys, it is difficult because, and don't forget, some of you guys, the way you flirt, you could be like, okay, you know what, I really like this person, but I'm not going to call them. I'm just going to see what happens. And then you miss the boat, Or you could be like, I'm going to wait till she says something to me, and then you miss the boat. Because Aquarius can rule detachment and being unemotional and acting like it doesn't even bother you that this person's not talking to you, Aquarius, I would say, Aquarius can either you make the move right away or you're not going to make it at all. You're going to be detached and kind of closed in, So, and you want your space. So the best thing to do is if you really like someone and you want to ask them out, embrace your uniqueness and just off the cuff, just try it and just ask her out and be you. Say, I don't do this all the time. I feel really weird and I feel really awkward. Just be honest and say, but hey, do you want to go out? Are you up for it or no? And be like your energy as a man could be like the rebel, like the James Dean type of person, So use that to your advantage and use this unpredictable vibe that you have to just I think the more you think about it, the more awkward it would be, and then the more detached you'd be and the more unemotional you'd be, and you would make her think like you don't like her. Because a lot of people with Mars and Aquarius do the opposite of what they want, It's like they'll get detached and not want to talk to the girl or ask them out, and, and then you miss the boat completely. But the way you flirt is also, you're going to show your uniqueness. You're going to show that you're a humanitarian. You're going to show you're loyal, you're friendly, you're trustworthy. You're going to show that you're very original. You don't care what anybody else thinks. You're very inventive. You're going to show that you're just different in some way, and you're okay with it. But you don't really want to show the unpredictable, the detached, unemotional side right away, because they're going to think you don't care. You don't like them. This is the type of guy where if the girl says to them, oh no, I'm dating somebody right now. Oh yeah, no matter, it doesn't matter. I don't really care, whatever. But really, you didn't know. I mean, if you give that response, then how do you know she's not going to break up with that guy? And remember, you asked her out, and then she may approach you later. You know what I mean? So you don't want to have that I could care less attitude, because Aquarius energy could have that I could take you or leave you attitude and not give a rat's ass. They can. So, all right. Anyway, I'm just talking a lot about it because I know a lot, because I'm also my Mars is in Aquarius. So, okay. So, if you have your Venus in Aquarius, now for you ladies, this is the awkward vibe. This is like you feel weird flirting. You feel very strange. You show that you're unique. You show you're different. That's how you flirt. And you may show that it's very awkward flirting, like, oh my God, what do I say? And you may do the same thing as the Mars with Aquarius that guy does. You may act detached and unemotional, like you don't care. Like, oh, he didn't ask me out, so I don't really care. It doesn't matter. So let's say that, you were interested in somebody and they didn't ask you, like, I don't know, like, you may act unemotional and a little bit detached from them, which is the opposite of what you want, especially if you really want them to ask you out. So ladies with Venus in Aquarius, and I had an interruption there, I'm sorry. So for the most part, you want to show that you're your unique self. You want to show your individuality. You want to show you're different. You want to show that you're smart. Oh my God. Mars in Aquarius too. You're going to show a very intelligent side of yourself, okay? But it may border like weirdness, because people may be like, what? It's so weird. But you could be very ingenious even, You could be very inventive. You may like you show that you like your uniqueness and your space and your individuality. You may show that you like your independence, okay? But when you're flirting with someone, you know, you may come off a little bit unemotional and detached to the point where they don't think that you're interested, and you don't want to give out that energy, because, you know, Aquarius is a type of energy where if you really like someone and let's say they shoot you down or something, you act like you just don't care. Oh, whatever, that's fine, no problem. But it's the opposite of what you're really wanting, you know? So you have to watch that. And it's so easy for Aquarian energy to do that, to just go right into the detached mode real easy. You know, you're going to show a humanitarian side of yourself too, and an honest and a loyal side too when you're flirting. Now, let's talk money. So if you're trying to make money with this sign, those of you who have Venus in Aquarius, okay, can make money as an advisor, as a consultant, as a philosopher, astrologer, engineer, computers, internet, or even an inventor, okay? And I have to say, too, also pilots have this, too. So, you know, a pilot would show, you know, it's very Aquarian, you know. So anyway, that would also fall under this Aquarian sign. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you would like to share, like, and subscribe, that would be great. And if you also would like a reading, just click on the link in the video, or there's going to be a link below the video as well, depending if you have a smartphone or an iPad, okay? Well, I hope this helped you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.